I Am Filipino by Carlos P. Romulo. I am Filipino inheritor of a glorious past, hostage to the uncertain future. As such, I must prove equal to a twofold task, the task of my meeting my responsibility to the past, and the task of performing my obligation to the future. I sprung from a hard race, child many generations, removed of Asian Malayan pioneers. Across the century, the memory come rushing back to me, of brown-skinned men putting out to sea, and ships that were as frail as their hearts were stout. Over the sea I see them come, borne upon the bellowing wave, and the whistling wind carry upon the mighty swell of hope in the pre-abundance of new land that was to be their home and their children forever. This is the land they sought and found, every inch of shore that their eyes first set upon, every hill and mountain that became one to them with a green and purple invitation, every mile of rolling plain that their view encompassed, every river and lake that promised a plentiful living and the fruitfulness of commerce is hollow a spot to me. By the strength of their heart and hand, by every right of law, human and divine, this land and all the appurtenance thereof, the black and fertile soil, the sea and lakes and river teeming with fish, the forest with their inexhaustibly wealth in wildlife and timber, the mountain with their bowels swollen with minerals, the whole of this rich and happy land has been. For centuries without number, the land of my fathers, this land I receive in trust from them, and in trust will pass it to my children. And so on, until the world is no more. I am Filipino. In my blood runs the immortal seed of hero seed that flowered down the century in deeds of courage and defiance. In my veins pulsed the same hot blood that sent Lapu-Lapu to the battle against the first invader of this land. The nerve Lakandula in the combat against the alien po that drove Diego Silang and Aguhe into rebellion against the foreign oppressor. That seed is immortal. It is the self-same seed that flowered in the heart of Jose Rizal that morning in Bagumbayan, when a volley of shot put an end to all that was mortal of him, and made his spirit deathless forever. The same that flowered in the heart of Bonifacio Balintawak, of Gregorio del Pilar at Teradpas, of Antonio Luna of Kalumpit, that bloom in flowers of frustration and sad heart of Emilio Aguinaldo at Palanan, and yet burst forth royally again in the proud heart of Manuel L. Quezon, when he stood at last on the threshold of Asian Malacañang Palace, and the symbolic act of position in racial vindication. The seed I bear within me is an immortal seed. It is the mark of my manhood, the symbol of dignity as a human being, like the seed that were once buried in the tomb of Tutankhamen many thousand years ago. It shall grow and flower here, from flower and bear fruit again. It is the stigma of my race and my generation. It but a stage in the unending search of my people from freedom and happiness. I am Filipino, child of the marriage of the East and the West, the East with its languor and mysticism, its passivity and endurance was my mother, and my sire was the West that came thundering across the sea with the cross and sword in the machine. I am of the East, an eager participant in its spirit and its struggle for liberation from the imperialists. But I also know that the East must awake from its century sleep, shake off the lethargy that has bound bound his limb, and start moving where destiny awaits. For I, too, am of the West, and the vigorous people of the West have destroyed forever the peace and quiet that once were ours. I can no longer live, a being apart from those whose word now trembles to the roar of bomb and cannon shot. I cannot say of a matter of universal life and death, of freedom and slavery for all mankind, that is concerned me not, for no man and no nation is an island. But a part of the main, there's no longer any east and west only. Individual and nation making those momentous choices with are the hinges upon which history is resolved. At the vanguard of progress in this part of the world one stand a forlorn figure in the eyes of some, but not one defeated and lost. For truth, the thick interlacing branches of habit and custom above me. I have seen the light of the sun, and I know that is good. I have seen the light of justice and equality and freedom. My heart has been lifted by vision of democracy, and I shall not rest until my land and my people shall have been blessed by this beyond the power of any man or nation to subvert or destroy. I am Filipino, and this my inheritance. What pledge shall I give that I may prove worthy of my inheritance? I shall give the pledge that has come ringing down the corridor of the centuries, and it shall be compounded of the joyous cries of Malayan forebears when first they saw the contours of this land, long before their eyes, of the battle cries that have resounded in every field of combat from Mactan to Terad Pass, of the voice of my people when they sing. Out of the lush green of this 7,000 eyeless, out of the heartstring of 16 million people of all vibrating to one song, I shall weave the mighty fabric of my pledge out of the song of the farmers in sunrise when they go labor in the fields. Out of the sweat of the hard-beaten pioneers in Maglig and the Corodal, out of the silent endurance of stevedores at the fires and the ominous grumbling of peasants in Pampanga. Out of the first cries of babies newly born and the lullabies that mothers sing, out of the crashing of gears and the whine of turbines in the factories, out of the crunch of plowshare upturning the earth, out of the limitless patience of teacher in the classroom, and doctor in the clinics, out of the tramp of soldier marching, I shall make the pattern of my pledge. I am Filipino, born to freedom, and I shall not rest until freedom shall have been added unto my inheritance for myself and my children and my children's children forever.